there's just one more presentation before the break. This setup is a bit different. We have Mikko Honkanen from Vainu with us online, and Thomas Pierog, our product owner from webCRM, will be here. Online, offline, we should call it. A little bit about Vainu. Am I there? Yeah. A market data platform, as you know it, it's more of a sales intelligence platform. And their algorithm takes customer segmentation to a whole new level. Of course, it integrates with webCRM. That's why we have this mix. And I know Mikko and Thomas will take you through it. And after that, you can go to the toilet, you can get something to drink, and have a talk with our consultants. So hang on a little bit more, and then we're almost there.
I'm glad you recognized me. So,
yeah, I've seen you a few times.
That's good. Yeah, so I'm Thomas. I'm product owner at webCRM. So my main focus is the product. That means both in terms of strategic, where we're going, and planning what should things look like and how should they behave. And also, I manage the development team in Ukraine, which is where we develop stuff from. And for this, we have the pleasure of Mikko, I dare not speak his last name, from Vainu, who is a co-founder of the product Vainu, and he will be online, I hope, guys. So this is probably, I worry, the most arrow potentially segment today, but we'll hope for tech to provide. Yeah. So some of you might already know this integration. It's not new. We built it half a year ago, maybe a little bit further back. But it really ties into the stuff we talked about today about data love. I don't know where you are. And all of this segmentation and doing stuff in an intelligent way with the data you can have. What we see is the perfect fit is that you actually do this in a product that is built for that and put it into a webCRM system once you've done all the intelligent work and just have to sell something. So we're actually going to live demo it, so that's one of the arrow potential paths. Ooh, good start. And I can see Mikko, that's a good start too. Yeah, so this is Vainu. I will not be talking about this as an expert, but the product is extremely easy and extremely powerful. And what you're looking at right now is a pre-built segmentation. Basically, you can do a million types of segmentation. This one looks at every change of CEO. So if that's like your trigger for contacting someone, then I have built this list basically of companies in Denmark where there's been a change in direction or in management, sorry. And that's interesting to me because that's where I cold call from. So once I've built this list, I can have a few more lists. I can go into my webCRM system live and manage that list from within the system. This is the first time you're seeing webCRM today, which is also a bit funny. But there's the list, new CEO. What I can do now is I can choose if I want to just get the organizations. If I do that, I just have data. It's provided or it's enriched by Vainu, but it's just data. If I want to do a little bit more, I can create activities. That means for each organization created, there will already be an action connected to that. Further, I can add contacts which are provided from Vainu. Vainu scrapes websites and also, of course, get data from databases that they are connected to. And they base it, of course, in segments. So there are different segments, so I can pick a segment that I want, or I can just pick everyone, depending on what I'm looking for. If I go on, now I built my, should we say, calling list, if that's what we're doing, so I can make a cold call list. Give it the type sales, and probably give it some name that connects it to the list. So something about CEO changing, right? That makes sense. Go on. And now I'm I don't know how many has to call. Maybe I want my entire sales team to call. Maybe I just want one to call, or to go through all these activities. Yeah.
Can you make the screen big again? Because it's so hard to see it.
We have to ask Tech for that. Can we make the screen big again? Yeah. So now we've just chosen one person. So of course that will take a little bit longer to go through the list. But what I'm provided with now is a time span from when to when I should get through all these activities. And basically, it's just waking up every day and calling everyone. What I can see here is that the time frame looks pretty good. It's 28 activities a day, that meaning 28 calls a day for one person. Yeah. And that's it. I start importing it. It's going to take a little while, but you can follow it here, or you can just go away and work on something else. You will see that little icon showing that it's working, and it's because it's fetching data and it's creating activities and so on. So it won't be instantly created, but it won't take long. Yes, so that's one smart way of working with Vainu. You can of course do what most of you know, a single lookup. So from our, by the way, new search field, you can type in directly a name, and those guys we've heard about before, Apsis. I can create them directly from Vainu's database, and the concept is the same. I create an organization, I choose which guys do I want. There's a couple of names we know, or at least one name we know there. Create. And I can create an activity if I want to. This time I'll not do it. I'm not going to do it. And once I do that, I have everything directly from Vainu. Once it's implemented, or once it's gotten from Vainu to webCRM, everything is automatically updated. So if something changes, if, I don't know, they change address, they change phone number, it's automatically updated in webCRM, so I don't have to think if the data is correct that is provided by Vainu live. And a teaser for a completely new thing, which Mikko is going to tell you a lot more about, is that Vainu just implemented a new intelligent way of segmenting. We all know the typical industry codes, but Vainu's been working on with a lot of data and a lot of intelligence AI in order to create new custom industries. They call them Vainu custom industries. It's their thing. And what you get is a lot more intelligent segmentation. So stuff like SaaS and all these types of different industries which are not really fitting into the old industry codes, and also giving them more industry codes. And in addition to that, besides just tagging them with this, they score them. So based on, again, more and more data, more and more intelligence, they score based on how certain they are that they fall into the bracket of, let's say, SaaS. So now you can do a completely new way of finding leads or whatever you're looking for based on, for instance, they have to be more than 80% there. I mean, the hit should be at least 80% sure that it is e-commerce. So that's pretty clever. And we implemented it into the integration that you already have. So they'll be there from today. Yes, over to you, Mikko.
Thanks, Thomas. Hopefully the audio is working.
It is.
Well, I can hear you.
have better data, better information and insights in their hands and at their fingertips whenever they need it. And just like Christian mentioned, I think this is sort of the dilemma many salespeople, many marketeers, they have had over the decades. It's the question of quantity versus quality. And why this is a dilemma is really that we all know, I think it goes almost without saying, that if you take the time and you personalize your messaging, your outreach, you typically can increase hit rate or conversion. But at the same time, we all have high quotas, meaning that we need enough activities, enough meetings with potential customers. And since personalization used to take lots of time, it's always that dilemma, should I prioritize high numbers or high quality? How could I do both? That has been the dilemma. The good thing is that I believe it was Bob Dylan already singing about it quite a few years ago. The times are changing, and now they're finally changing also for data-driven sales and marketing, because we do have lots of data available, data that we can then convert into actionable insights, and that allows us to really personalize the messaging. And since we have technology in place these days, webCRM is a good example. Upsys is another great example. We have great technology that we can use that increases the level of automation. And if we combine these two macro trends, more data to personalize and better technology to increase level of automation, that's well, then we get sort of the personalization at scale, that we can finally be very personal with each potential customer and all the existing customers without having to sacrifice the actual volume. We can have lots of meetings, we can speak and reach out to many companies and still personalize, even though we have good enough quantity as well. So Thomas already mentioned Vainu custom industries. So I wanted to give you a very concrete example how data and how insights can help you to build more accurate segments. And everything that you will see is already live in your webCRM account, which is great. So here's an example. We have 3 companies. You don't see the names of the companies in this slide. You only see the very basic information about them. In this case, the standard industry classification for these companies. I believe in Denmark, you use that DKDB 2007 industry classification, so it's not very fresh, it's 14 years old. And it's more or less the same thing in all the Nordic countries, for example, and also outside the Nordics. These standard industry classification systems, they've been developed 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they simply do not cover any modern industries. And also we all know that when you register a new business, you need to pick and choose one industry code for your company. And that might be a little bit misleading. But then the question is, if you want to build micro segments or very accurate segments, and if we have only that type of data available, then I guess the answer is that these 3 companies, if this is the data we have, then they belong to one segment because they all have the same industry code. It's the industry code of 58, other software publishing. And very often this is the level of data we have in our CRM systems or marketing automation systems. We just know the industry codes, and then these 3 companies, they look from data's point of view exactly the same. But then if we start adding interesting descriptions and metadata for these companies, and these labels that you now see in the slide, these are some of the custom industry values that we provide. So the first company now looks a little bit different. It seems to be a CRM provider because they are also labeled as CRM, SaaS, sales, marketing, contact management, B2B, software, information technology, and so on. So it seems to be that it's most likely maybe a CRM vendor or a vendor in that space. While the other one is definitely not a CRM vendor, they're doing something with music and audio. education technology. It seems that they're building that app or piece of software for kids. So it's maybe some kind of music app, maybe something to do with education. And then the third example, it's more like a consulting company, and if these labels are right, it's a consulting project management company in the field of architecture and construction. And now I'm revealing the actual companies here. So the first one is webCRM and the data we have for webCRM. The second one is Pianini, a Danish company, and again, software company. What they're building is this app for kids to learn music. And then third one is a small consulting company called Dickelman. And indeed, if you look at their website, they focus on project management, architecture, and construction. And we feel that this is the type of segmentation data and segmenting data you would like to have in your CRM. So instead of just relying on industry codes when you put companies in certain segments, you need and you deserve better data based on what these companies are really doing. So this is the type of data you want to have in your CRM, also in your marketing automation system, ideally also in your customer data platforms, as it was mentioned in Apsi's presentation. So instead of just traditional data that is a little bit outdated, often not accurate enough, if you want to build very modern, very accurate segments, it really starts from having this type of data in the CRM. One thing that I'm super happy is that this is something that we can scale, and we can scale between countries. So it's not only that we do this in Denmark and for Danish companies, we do this for all the Nordic companies and also outside the Nordics. And webCRM is actually the first CRM that has this type of data in the system. But I'll spend a few slides explaining the model, because I think it helps you to understand also and realize the possibilities of these data points. So it's called Vainu Custom Industry, and it's a machine learning AI model. So all these models, they need lots of training data, and then they need also lots of validation data, so that we can make sure that the model is actually working properly. So for this specific model, we have labeled more than 1 million companies, and basically it's using the context of the website and the content of the website. It's following all the social media links, checking the descriptions companies are using in their social media profiles. So it's using lots of data. And we built first a training data set covering more than 1 million companies and very accurate labels for them. And then we built a model. And what the model does, it's basically analyzing every single company we have in our database and then predicting what are the custom industry values we should attach for that specific company. I'll show you an example, but first I want to, and I try to explain the concept of confidence score. A little bit technical part of the presentation. You don't really have to do and deal with these confidence scores much. We have made it super easy for you to use them. But since it's not always a binary question if company is a SaaS company or not, or if the company is doing e-commerce or not, or if the company should get labeled as fintech or not. It's not always a binary question, and sometimes a company is very clearly an e-commerce and another company might be a little bit of e-commerce. So it's not a binary question, yes or no, and that's why we believe that the answer should not be binary, yes or no, but we should actually give some sort of indicator how strongly we feel that way. And all of us, of course, we love decimal numbers. They always have a point, right? We built this model that there's always a confidence score attached to every prediction we make. And that confidence score is a decimal number between 0.0 and 1.0. So, and obviously it works in a way that the higher the score is, the more confident we feel about the prediction our model has done. So we'll take an example. So there's more than 800 different custom industries. E-commerce is just one of them. But I think it's a pretty easy to understand. We would like to profile all the companies in our database, all the Nordic companies, lots of European companies, US companies. And if we only focus on this one specific custom industry, the question is very simple. Is this company doing e-commerce? Do they have a web shop? Are they selling services and goods and products online? Yes or no? So that's the task. And I'll show you the idea of confidence score. So we analyze millions of companies, and then at some point we check this company that you see the screenshots in the slide. And obviously this task, if we're thinking, is this website, does it look like an e-commerce site? Well, it's a very easy task for us humans, right? We see immediately that yes, this is e-commerce. The shopping cart available on the site, they are talking about different payment options, prices are visible, you can actually purchase things online. So this is an e-commerce company, and it should be labeled as e-commerce. Easy for humans to do that. And when we look at the algorithm, it actually thinks the same way. So now you can see on the right, you can see confidence score being high, 0.78 for e-commerce. So that's actually a very strong confidence score. So the model really thinks that yes, this is indeed e-commerce. Also, the model is smart enough to understand what type of products they're selling in that or in that site. So it's home decor is another label that we believe should be attached to this this site. But then sometimes it's not that easy. So this one, is this an e-commerce, yes or no? Via Biler, it's in Danish, the site, maybe it's not even in English, so, but I checked the site and it's a bit tricky. There's no shopping carts available, but they seem to do something online. At least you can book some times and schedule some times online. And I think, in all honesty, some people would profile it as e-commerce, while some others would say that no, it's not really fully e-commerce. And again, the model seems to perform pretty well in this case as well. It gives very high confidence score for custom industry called automotive, because obviously, I mean, you can see it simply by looking at the background photo that it has to do with automotive. But then the confidence score for e-commerce is only 0.34, meaning that it's a lot lower than in the first example. So basically, we're able to say that, well, might be e-commerce, but we're not as confident as we are with other examples. So combining these two examples, that's really the idea of confidence score. It's a decimal between 0 and 1, and every prediction we make always has a unique confidence score attached, because companies can get multiple values, as I showed. The first example gets e-commerce and home decor and maybe some other values as well, while the second one gets automotive and then a little bit weaker prediction for e-commerce. And that's what we do at scale, and we do it automatically for all the companies we have in our database, and we cover all the legal business entities in the Nordics. So it's pretty safe to say that we have this data available for more or less any given company in the Nordics. Also, millions of companies outside of the Nordics. However, what we always need to have is that we need to know the website of the company for this to work, because that's really the content we use in the model. Then, congrats all the webCRM users. webCRM is the first CRM that brings this type of segmentation data natively inside the CRM experience. And I'm very impressed by the speed, how fast Thomas and his team developed this one, because you don't only have this custom industry segmentation data in the platform, but also the confidence scores, as it was shown already. Actually, even in the Vainu platform, we do not show the confidence score values yet, but nowadays they're first live in webCRM. because they've been using our API and developed this feature in there. So when you use this type of data in your CRM, obviously salespeople can create more accurate segments, micro segments, if you will. Also marketing people, easier to build campaigns and sort of put contacts in certain brackets based on the companies they work at. And also existing customers can be analyzed and segmented in completely new different ways, because you can actually check and see what they're doing. So Vainu brings lots of data to webCRM, as you already saw when Thomas was showing it. Of course, all the basic data, business ID, CVR numbers, VAT numbers, name, addresses, yes, the standard industry codes as well, some of the financial KPIs that are available for private companies and so on. But now, with this new release, we also bring these 800 plus detailed segments called Vainu Custom Industries. And we're also bringing in more accurate descriptions companies are using themselves, about themselves. And then we also decided that we'll show you the topic we're working on at this very moment. So Vainu Custom Industries, better segmentation data, that's already live, it's done, it's implemented, and can be used. And then there's one new thing that we're working on at the moment, and that's called workflow triggers. Try to spend some time looking at this slide, but I'll also explain what it's all about. As Christian mentioned, as all the speakers I feel have mentioned, we all know that timing is very important in sales and marketing. Like, it's important to reach out when the timing is right. And obviously it's not always easy to know when timing is right, but most of us, we have identified certain moments when the window of opportunity is opening up for sales. It might be, just like Thomas showed, a change of a key decision maker might be the right moment to reach out, but it might be also when a company is announcing acquisition news, like FSC and webCRM just did, or like Upsys did. Maybe that's the moment when they are open for new ideas and new opportunities. It could be an announcement, funding announcement, expansion announcement. So there's lots of these type of events. We call them trigger events, moments that create opportunities for sales. And would like all the webCRM users to be able to track and act on these changes automatically. So what we already have in place is an engine that is monitoring what's happening within companies. So any of these changes, expansion news, funding announcements, acquisitions, new won customers, leadership change, and so on. But instead of just emailing or notifying users by sending a notification, would like to send this data into CRM. So that, for example, if you have your own portfolio in webCRM and maybe you own 300 accounts, you have 300 accounts, companies in your name, and then you pick and choose that, hey, if any of these companies is filing a new financial statement, I would like to create a task for myself in webCRM automatically. Or if any of these companies is appointing a new CEO, I also want to see that in my task or to-do list. So that's what we're building at the moment. We have the data, and now we want to build an integration so that you don't have to switch between tools or tabs, but you just walk into the office in the morning or open up laptop remotely, you log into webCRM, and you always see important tasks and opportunities that we believe you should act on based on the settings you have created. So if any of your accounts have appointed a new CEO or is announcing a funding announcement, you will see it in your to-do list. But this is something that we're working on, not released yet. Vainu Custom Industry, the segmentation data is already live and ready to be implemented. And that's really what I wanted to show you. And then Thomas promised to mention a few words about how to get started with these features and data points. So back to you, Thomas.
Thanks. Thank you, Mikko. Yeah, as you mentioned, this is on the drawing board. Super cool feature and highly relevant. I think if you're in sales, making you not having to, work too hard or think too much, but set up once and for all what you're interested in and just being fed by both Vainu and webCRM in synergy. So that'll be something we will be working on. No date, but it is underway. Yeah, webCRM Vainu comes in two integrations. We actually give it away for free. So if you have a webCRM system and you're based in the Vainu countries, Nordics primarily, then you'll have Vainu as a lookup tool, meaning you can do what we tried before, type in and actually get in the actual data from Vainu. If you want to do a little bit more, for instance, these confidence scores, which we've been talking about, and definitely also the triggers coming up, you will have to pay a little bit for the product, but not a lot. And that's what we did in the beginning. You can import your list. All your data can be enriched, meaning everything you already have in your database, you can enrich with Vainu data and automatic updates, so that once you enrich them the first time, they'll actually keep on being up to date. You'll get the custom industries and you'll get the confidence score, which we showed. If you're interested in any of this, contact your local agent. They'll be in Denmark or in some of the other countries where Vainu exists, but the Nordics, of course. I think that's it.